Awete everyone, this is Regulus Pastor. Welcome back to Higurashi no Naku Koro ni. This is Himatsubushi-hen, the 4th arc, and the last question arc, out of the 8 main arcs. So, we got weaseled into a deal of misappropriating federal police funds, to buy time with an informant. And of course, she's implicitly getting a cut out of it. He's, quote, handling the money. So, let's see if it's worth our time. We got the vibe that despite how underhanded it all was and how he was being, we got the vibe that it is going to be worth our time. So let's see. And I think we're also due to meet one of the main characters of the previous arcs. I'm getting parched all of a sudden. Gonna load the tips that we earned last time, and then we'll continue on with this new chapter. Okay, let's take a look. Oh, we got 4. Excuse me. Okay, here we go. Phone call with Yukie. So I'm caught up on Attack on Titan for now. We're in the mid-season break for season 3. They still haven't confirmed when it's going to return from mid-season break. They didn't even tell us it was going to be a mid-season break, but they're assuming that this season is going to be what in the anime industry is called a split core. Split-COUR, and it means that there's a mid-season break that lasts for 3 months, and then it returns for the second half of the season. So let's go. Oh, we need our phone simulator. This'll work.
Oh, really? It's tough when it's such a sudden assignment. Please be careful.
This is too crinkly. Crap. Give me 1 second. Here, this should suffice.
Please be careful. Where are you headed? You're already there?
Whenever I headed out on assignment, she would ask where. Not just Yukie, but anybody would have asked the same question. If it were a cold place, she would urge me to pack a thick jacket. If it was far, she'd warn me to be careful on the drive over. It was just normal everyday concern that led to asking such an obvious thing. I felt sad that I couldn't answer such a run-of-the-mill question.
Sorry. It's something that you can't talk about, isn't it? Please be careful.
Sorry, Yukie. They didn't code that voice mod well with her text.
At some point, you started apologizing right away. Even though when you first started your job, you were all gung-ho about it.
Yukie laughed as though she had realized something. At times like this, Yukie had the magical power to see right through me.
It's already...
Could you chill, Yukie?
It's already been quite a while since I was admitted to the hospital. Are you finally getting lonely?
They kind of slacked with this arc. don't tease me. I'm too old to get lonely.
さてさていかがでしょう。あなたは本当に甘えん坊さんですからね。
Oh, really? Yeah, sure like to be doted on, don't you?
私と一緒でないとだんだん弱気になってきてしまうのでしょ。
Don't you start getting a little faint of heart when I'm not around?
もう今湯系の頭に小悪魔の角がにょっきりと生えているのが目に浮かぶよ。
Gosh darn it. Oh, jeez. I can see the little devil horn sprouting from your head right now.
君は昔から
You've always been like this.
はぐらかさないはぐらかさない。私に構ってもらえなくて寂しい寂しいって。
Gosh darn it. Can you just hold on a little bit?
You can't hide it. You can't hide it. If I don't play with you, you get all lonely.
あなたが尻尾を振っている音が受話器を通しても聞こえてきますよ。
I can hear your tail wagging over the phone.
Ooh, husband and wife talk. 3 lewd, 5 me. This side of Yukie wasn't something you could guess existed from seeing her usual modest behavior. And it was something that she didn't show to anybody else but me. Normally I'd poke her to hide my embarrassment and bring an end to the conversation, but I couldn't do that over the phone. You know what, I was going to make a lewd comment, I'm just not. Of course, Yukie was clever. She was teasing me because of that.
あなたを困らせるのがこんなに楽しいと気づいたのはいつからだったでしょうね。
You done? These two people. I can't even remember what I was gonna say. Oh. I don't know if I'm getting her pitch accent right in her name. Yeah, I'd have to see how it's written and see, you know, what the pitch accent is for words that contain those kanji with those readings. But anyway, or maybe Akasaka will tell me. But let's get back to this before they, you know, start reciting, you know, Pledge of Allegiance or whatever. I'm not clever enough right now for, you know, all this banter.
I wonder when I figured out that giving you grief was this much fun.
そろそろ許してくれよ。
Give me a break.
とにかく君の元気な声が聞けてよかった。
In any case, it's good to hear you so lively.
そうでしょ。元気になれましたか？
I know, right? Did I cheer you up?
I had called Yukie to keep her from feeling lonely when she was by herself in the hospital room. Of course, that was nothing more than a pretense that I, being shy, had come up with. It seemed that Yukie had long since seen through that act. Yeah.
また電話をしてくださいな。
Please phone
私が
again.
ダメな時はお父さんが相手をしてくれるでしょう。
Shut up! Oh, great. Now I can't find the phone simulator I threw down. I am blaming you. Yada. ちょっと待ってください。How hard can it be to find a slip of paper?
phone again. When I'm not feeling up to it, I'll get my father to talk with you.
Yeah, like he really wants to talk to his father-in-law. I don't know their family situation.
もっともお父さんが相手ではあなたのことだから電話先でも直立不動で喋っていそう。
Although, if you're talking with my father, I get the feeling that you'd be standing here at attention on the other side of the line.
For a while longer, Yuki kept teasing me without letting me end the call. Isn't that a good thing? I mean, you did ditch her. A record of opening remarks. One second. Let me just hit click so I can see what... Try to guess what voice I'm trying to do here. Blah, 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 blah. 25 years. I wish I knew what voice to do here. I'll just use my regular narrator voice. Chairman, members of the party, congratulations are due, as we are celebrating 25 years since our founding. These past 25 years have seen much growth in prefecture. The once quiet scenery of nothing but fields now has seen the opening of a new stop for the bullet train. And with the development of the highway, we've seen the rebirth of a modern city bursting with youthful energy. We've reaped the benefits of new businesses and industry. And with the special reverence the residents of prefecture have for time-honored traditions, history and culture, business and industry. With these ideals in harmony, they have accomplished in growing their city into one of Japan's foremost metropolises. Shouldn't it be metropolis or metropolides? I don't know my Greek conjugation, or not conjugation, declension well enough to really know. I'm more of a Latin guy anyway. Of course, the development of prefecture couldn't have happened without the growth of the party. We are resolved to see every one of our campaign promises to fruition, reaching our targets definitively and expediently, like arrows fired from a bow. With these arrows as the fundamental basis of the party, our members have sought to pierce the obstructions preventing the happiness of the residents of prefecture. But I do believe that everybody here is unlike an ordinary arrow. While being as unfaltering and straightforward, we have not neglected in seeking solutions that conform to the current day and age, while also keeping an eye on the future. An arrow, once loosed, can only fly to its destination. Everyone here, however, is no simple arrow. Even once loosed from the bow, without neglecting our studies, while employing new methods, and implementing more effective and flexible ideas, thus being able to change trajectories mid-flight, we are magical arrows. I can't take that seriously. The modern age marches ever forward. Couldn't you say homing missile? Seriously? Sometimes it marches faster than the time taken from planning to execution. The following part was not in the script. It is thought to have been ad-libbed by the minister. Okay, so this is the minister. Probably Minister Inukai speaking. For example, there have been recently numerous problems with the Hinamizawa power plant project.
Rather than forcing through the project solely because it was decided upon by the government, it is necessary to reflect on and adjust to the ever-changing needs of the residents, the region, and the next generation. The protests by the local residents that surround the Hinamizawa Dam. These are also the will of the people of the prefecture. If you feel that there is no need to listen because the project has already been finalized, then you do nothing more than shed a poor light on Japan's post-war democracy. The following is as per the script. For the lasting happiness of the citizens of Japan and the residents of prefecture, please consider these policies thoroughly. I believe, however, we have all gained something from the flexibility and foresight of the party. I have taken up much of your time. However, allow me to say the following to celebrate the 25th anniversary of our founding. Chairman, members of the party in attendance, thank you very much for today. From the opening remarks of the party prefectural forum and 25th anniversary celebration.
Okay, so it seems he's giving in to the demands of the people holding his grandson hostage.
Gears and fire and the taste of honey.
That's a very intriguing very intriguing tip name. I like it. Alright.
The world is filled with people blessed with relationships. Of course, that doesn't mean that everyone is connected to each other. It's obvious that on the other side of the planet, there are people laughing and crying who can't possibly have an effect on you. However, in the extremely limited community of the neighborhood, that sort of connection is just a matter of fact. It's quite possible that a single remarkable event could have massive consequences inside a small community. If you were to increase that in scale, a perfect stranger on the other side of the globe might become enough of a legend to have an effect on our lives. Well, it's not always that way. Like I said at the beginning, the links between people basically aren't that relevant in the grand scheme of things. Whether some household nearby is having steak or croquettes doesn't matter to me. When I put on my shoes, it doesn't matter to anybody whether I put the right one on first or the left. This much the average person can understand.
I don't know what he's getting at here. Okay.
But actually, in reality, this is the truth. The bonds between people are quite well defined. It's not just a matter of distance, of being far or near. For example, let's say that person A's actions have some effect on me. Even then, person B's actions could have absolutely no consequence on my life. The reverse also holds true. Just because my actions affect person A, that doesn't always mean that they affect person B as well. Let's put it bluntly. If the bonds between people are like gears in a machine, the gear that represents me meshes with some people, but is isolated from others. There are some who would try arguing against this. Those people would bring up the example of gears in a clock. Each gear indeed only directly meshes with one or two others. However, if you rotate one gear, the one next to it is moved, which connects to the next one, and the next. In the end, all the gears are moving. There is a logic behind this, more than enough to convince the average person. Why is the argument convincing? The answer is simple. The relationships between people are ambiguous, and can only be described conceptually. How the gears are connected, and how their movements are chained together can't be used as a fundamental explanation, so it throws a wet blanket on that argument. So, for the people who like that explanation, I'll use the example of a clock again to refute it. First of all, to say that this world is a singular clock would be wrong. That is, there isn't only one clock. There exist many clocks in this world, each counting their own time. If you think about it, the idea that this world is just one big clock is the height of arrogance. Even if you use the analogy of gears to explain human relationships, then you should be able to explain it using an analogy of multiple clocks unrelated to a single gear. Neighbors A and B. A is a gear in the same clock as me, so it's best to remain civil. B is a gear in a different clock, so it doesn't really matter to me at all. That's the kind of clear distinction I'm talking about. You want to say I'm being fallacious? Then let's change the analogy to something more familiar, so you can understand. You've probably heard the phrase, a fire on the opposite shore sometime in your life, no? For example, if your neighbor's house was on fire, you'd probably try and help to put it out, wouldn't you? It'd be awful if the fire spread and burned down your own house after all. But what if that fire was in a town on the opposite side of a river? Would you still go out of your way to help? You wouldn't, would you?
Don't presume like you know what I'd do. If I had a way to get there, I would.
Even though it would be the wrong thing to do, there's no way the fire could spread to your own house. Even if it turned into a huge conflagration, there's no relation between the houses that will spread fire to yours and those that won't. With this basic example, you should be able to see the difference between gears that are or aren't related to your own. Having said that, there's still a lot to think about, even without a river to divide it. After all, it's not a spatial problem like being on the other side of the river, is it?
So what was the taste of honey and all that? I'm confused.
The chick in the trunk.
That's a misogynistic way to describe her.
The car had stopped, but he didn't know any more than that. For not only was he blindfolded, but locked in the trunk of the car. How could people become this powerless just by being robbed of their sight? He absolutely wouldn't have known this without experiencing it firsthand. He soon realized it was pointless to try and undo his bonds, with the confines of the trunk quickly making him lightheaded. Now, he had no choice but to let this mild torture dull his senses. That's why, when the car stopped and the unpleasant vibration ceased as the engine was killed, he couldn't help but delude himself that he was being set free, even though nothing had been resolved in reality. Of course, he was soon removed from that delusion. He strained his ears when he heard one of the men who had abducted him and an older man he was hearing for the first time strike up a conversation.
お疲れさんです。ひなはトランクに。
Nice to see you. The chick is in the trunk.
騒ぎすぎで多少衰弱してるようですが、ご命令通り傷一つつけちゃいません。
He struggled so much that he's probably exhausted right now, but there's not a mark on him, just as ordered.
おう、手間はかけましたの。
No, must have been a handful. The trunk opened, letting in a blast of fresh, cool air.
Sorry.
Even though up until just now he had been thinking about getting out of that stuffy trunk, when it was actually opened, he suddenly became uneasy.
Got an itch. Right just inside my nostril. Okay, it's like there's a stray nose hair or something.
Enough so that he wished that the lid of the trunk would once again close, separating himself from them. Suddenly, somebody stroked his head. Of course, since he was blindfolded, he couldn't tell if the hand was petting him or simply evaluating how easy it will be to remove his scalp. Unable to tell the difference, he could only freeze as he imagined the worst-case scenario.
すったらん。あいそうにの。震えとんね。
Poor little bugger. He's shaking.
おとなしくしばらく過ごすがよかろう。
Just stay calm for a bit. The older man said that kindly as he gently stroked the boy's head.
本に辛い思いしちゃろな。
This
だが
mu-
な。おんめのおじいちゃんは優しい人だね。
How long is this gonna carry on?
this must be real tough for you. But you see, your Gramps is a nice man.
すぐに助けてくれるだろうの。
He'll help you soon enough. Having heard nothing but the average standard dialect his whole life, the older man's distinct intonation left a deep impression on the boy.
There is a grammatical error here. Having heard nothing is obviously meant to modify boy, but because boy's an object of preposition here and not a subject, it's modifying the older man's distinct intonation. I didn't know intonation could hear anything.
But he had no idea what he was saying. For your Gramps to register as meaning your grandfather took a while to process.
Sorry about that.
Eventually, the hand that was stroking his head loosened the blindfold.
目隠しはまずいっすよ。面が割れると後々まずいです。
Can't keep his eyes covered. If he splits his face open, it'd be bad.
ああ、そうかの。
Hmm.
なんら、せめて猿靴はくらい外したらんな。
With that, we might as well take out the gag.
これぎゃ、息もできんね。
You can't breathe like that.
叫ばれたらまずいです。
It'd be trouble
こ
if
い
he
つのこと
yells.
は俺たちに任せてください。
I'm gonna give you trouble and yell.
Leave him to us.
たく、気の利かんやっちゃらな。 本
Jeez.
気にむごい仕打ちはせんやっちゃっとる。
Come here, I'll punch you.
Jeez, you guys don't know how to treat somebody. The Rain family said no rough stuff.
そこんとこ、肝に刻むんよ。
You better remember that well.
分かってます。
Yeah.
手荒な真似はしませんよ。
Yo, we won't do anything stupid.
小僧がおとなしくしててくれる分にはね。
As long as the kid cooperates, that is. The man's hand prodded roughly and repeatedly at the boy's head. A rugged hand, unlike the affectionate one that had been stroking his head before. Just stay cooperative. If you struggle, there's no guarantee what will happen. That cliched threat was literally beaten into his head.
Literally beaten into his head. I think this game uses the word literally far too often. At least this translation. I don't know about the original Japanese. And it's saying I went offline. I was gonna make the old "you saw that" joke, but nah. My throat already hurts enough. Waking up in a cheap hotel in the city was by no means pleasant. I remembered even during the long camping trips we had during grade school, I wanted to get home quickly, counting out the days left on my fingers. Waking up this morning, I was somehow reminded of that. Was it a need to be with my wife when she gave birth? A particular type of homesickness? As a productive member of society, as a public servant bound to fulfill his duties, it was pathetic indeed. Those negative emotions faded as I downed my breakfast, which was surprisingly not half bad. The meeting with the informant that Oishi had provided would be tonight. Until then, I couldn't just be lazing around. The Onegachi Defense Alliance was protesting the dam's construction in various ways. Included in this was a strategy for improving public relations, which could be categorized into two major forms, combative and peaceful. In regards to the former, as an attempt to keep law enforcement in check, they appealed to the public sympathy by highlighting the oppressive and inhumane tactics of the police and the brutality of the riot squads. Okay. The latter, peaceful route, stressed how precious the natural surroundings of Hinamizawa was, seeking people who would oppose the dam on environmental grounds. It should be the natural surroundings of Hinamizawa were. So much bad grammar. I'm already forgetting. I don't know if I would call this combative. I mean, the protesters have done other things that are most clearly combative. This I think is just rather reasonable. But then again, I come from a country built on revolution and freedom of speech and valuing of protests. Well, value protests if it's, to do with trying to advance the agenda that you agree with. As soon as it's the other way around, nobody wants to remember the value of protests in those times. As a part of that, the village of Hinamizawa had invited celebrated zoologists and botanists, as well as environmental groups, to advertise the nature surrounding the town. According to the news, in recent years there had been a group calling itself Hinamizawa Nature Watching, setting up free sightseeing tours. I would have liked to have taken advantage of the opportunity, but when I called the village administrative offices, they responded that it was too late to put in an application for the tour, and they were still undecided as to when they'd be doing another one.
そうですか。
I see.
次回の募集はありませんか。
So there's no applications for next time.
残念です。
Too bad.
あんた環境保護団体さんですか？
Phone simulator again. Are you a member of an environmental group?
それとも雑誌さんの人？
Or maybe somebody from a magazine?
いえ、個人です。
No, just you privately.
個人？観光ですかね？
Privately? Then you're a tourist?
観光みたいなものです。
Something like that.
美しい自然を写真に残すのが趣味なんで。
It's my hobby to take pictures that display how beautiful nature can be.
雑誌でとても貴重な自然が残っていると読んだので、楽しみにしていたのですが。
I read in a magazine that there were some precious nature reserves here, so I was looking forward to it. I knew there was an article that had something like that written in it, but I hadn't actually read it. Was it this ad-libbed lie? What? Was this ad-libbed lie not going to work? However, contrary to my expectations, the person I was speaking to laughed happily. Just waiting, make sure there wasn't even more badly coded dialogue.
ならあんた、検査来なさい。
Then come.
村はちょいと慌ただしいけど、歓迎しますよ。
The village is a little busy right now, but you're totally welcome here.
ぜひそうさせていただきます。ありがとうございます。
In that case, I'll graciously accept the offer. Thank you.
あんた、明日は何ですか？
How are you getting around?
お車？
Car?
もしそうだったら、先にナンバーを聞いてくれますよ。
If that's the case, could I ask you for your license plate number?
台湾ないんですがね。
No, there's no ulterior motive behind that. It was probably related to the checkpoints I'd set up on the way to the village. If I didn't give them my license plate number, I'd most likely be hindered in various ways. I thought about using the car I'd borrowed from the prefecture, but I was lost on whether it was okay to tell them that plate number. If the Onagafuchi Defense Alliance was behind this incident, there was no guarantee that they wouldn't be able to find out who I was. I had to play it safe, so I elected to refrain from using the car.
いえ、実は車ではないんです。
No, actually, I'm not using a car.
バスか何かがあれば、それで行きたいのですが。
If there's a... Oh, sorry. Shouldn't be using the simulator now. No, actually, I'm not using a car. If there's a bus or something, I'd prefer that.
バスならありますよ。
We do have a bus, actually.
もうそれ、廃線になってますそうですがね。
The road is gonna be discontinued soon, though.
そんでいらっしゃい。
You can take that.
沖宮の駅から出ますよ。
It departs from Oginomiya Station.
ありがとうございます。
Thank you very much.
探してみることにします。
I'll look out for it.
本当、いつ来ます？
When will you be coming?
ひなみざわさ初めて？
Is it your first time in Hinamizawa?
初めての土地じゃ、いろいろとご不安でしょう。
If it is, you must be unsure about a lot of things.
教えてくれりゃ、誰か行かせていろいろご案内させますよ。
If you let me know, I can have somebody show you around.
そんな。そこまでしていただくのは申し訳ないです。
Oh no, I couldn't ask that much of you.
気にせんでください。
Don't worry about it.
これも村の自然さ守るための PR なんですから。
That's just a bit of PR we do to protect nature around the village. Judging by what I saw at the checkpoint, the villagers were at the very least wary of outsiders. That's why in order to move in and out of the village freely, I had to travel with somebody like Oyashiro, or side with the dam protests. Having an interest in the natural environment surrounding the village tied into the peaceful type of PR that the village was using. I was a bit against having a watchdog attached to me, but that might actually work out in my favor. The entire village was fired up about the dam protests, so I might be lucky enough to hear some especially candid opinions from the residents. Given that, there was no real reason for me to refuse their offer.
本当によろしいのでしょうか。
Is it really alright?
でしたら本当に助かります。
If so, that'll really help. After that, I was shown the bus schedule and directed to which bus I should get on. Somebody would come and meet me at the bus stop in the village. After showing me around a spot I'd taken interest in, there was no doubt they'd bring me to somewhere like an anti-dam information center. Then over a cup of tea they'd try and indoctrinate me into accepting their principles and beliefs. Well, if that was their aim, there'd be a lot of freebies involved. The world is about give and take after all. I couldn't be going in a suit. I pulled some plain clothes out of my travel case and changed into something more casual. After that, after calming down by watching some local television, I left the hotel and set out for Okinomiya Station. The bus route that I was told would soon be discontinued certainly didn't look that way. There was more than enough trips on the schedule. There were more than enough trips on the schedule, and the number of passengers was by no means sparse. It was the main link to Okinomiya, the only town in the area. The types of passengers that stood out were older folk who didn't look like they could drive, and housewives who didn't seem like they had a license. If the area was submerged to the bottom of the lake, it wouldn't matter if there was a bus route. That's why it was going to be discontinued, in the unnatural scheme of things. I could catch a glimpse of the government's intent in cutting off their means of transportation to bully the village into emptying out sooner. Okay. It makes sense. According to the documents, talks between the Ministry of Construction and the locals broke down quite early. The government decided from the start to take an aggressive stance on the matter. It was like the fairy tale with the north wind and the sun trying to get the traveler to remove his cloak. Even their bullying had meaning to it. Typo. The reason why the Onagafuchi Defense Alliance resisted so violently was because the government was doing unseemly things like that. I was somebody who lived in Tokyo, so for a village or two out in the boonies like this to be submerged didn't seem like a big deal. But I guess for somebody actually living here, it would be a vitally huge problem. This route will be discontinued on the of. Thank you for your patronage up to this point. We look forward to your continued patronage on our other lines. Transportation. Gazing lazily at the notice of discontinued service posted inside the bus, I counted down the number of stops until the designated one. Along the way, we passed the checkpoint before without stopping. They knew what time the bus was coming, so they had opened up the barricade ahead of time. From here on out was enemy territory. My palms had at some point become coated in a thin film of sweat.
浮田水道前へ、浮田水道前へ。お降りの方はいらっしゃいませんか？
Now arriving at Ukita Waterworks. Now arriving at Ukita Waterworks. Now arriving at... Are there any passengers disembarking? I hurriedly pressed the stop request button as the designated stop was announced. For none of the numerous passengers to be getting off here, it meant that it must be quite a remote place. In actuality, the stop I got off at was so abnormally run down that I could tell it was barely used. As soon as I stepped out, an intense atmosphere completely different than the interior of the bus assailed my body. Right now, Oyashiro and Motodai weren't beside me. That's right. At present, I was alone in the middle of enemy territory. My adversaries probably thought I was just an ordinary tourist, but that was nothing more than a ruse. Ah, this is a bus stop that, Keiichi and Rena meet Mion at on their way to school, I think. And I don't think there are actually any buses that come anymore, so they must have not recontinued that route just out of spite for the protest the government had. My adversaries probably thought I was just an ordinary tourist, but that was nothing more than a ruse. But if by some mistake my true identity was to be exposed, it brought back the terrifying words that I heard at the prefectural office. That if somebody was attacked in Hinamizawa with a knife, there wouldn't be any evidence left behind. I didn't seem suspicious, did I? My clothing was currently casual. It was exactly the type of clothing that a city slicker that viewed the countryside as a wholesome getaway would wear. A camera and knapsack. Inside were various things needed for hiking. It was still only June, and maybe it was unusual, but the sun was shining down like it was already the middle of summer. The fact that I didn't bring a hat must seem odd. No, it wasn't something to be that concerned about. It's alright. I was just a normal tourist. Just normal. Was there anything suspicious about me? Asking that as I turned around to look at the bus that was departing. All the passengers by the window were staring down at me, silently. They were staring right at me, as if they had seen right through my proud little outfit. Just staring, looking down on me. Countless stares rained down like needles on me from the windows open to air out the bus. All that rained down were stares. None of them were saying a word. But all the more, their silent stares told me more than a million words could. Hurry up and go back to Tokyo, you outsider.
いえ、私は。
No, There's no reason for me to speak. My quiet voice was drowned out by the sound of the engine. The bus, as if to torment me, set out slowly, and after doing more than enough to intimidate me, sped off. A thin film of sweat began to rise from my entire body. According to the documents, it was a village that seemed wary of outsiders. Its population was small as well. They saw an unfamiliar face, they'd be quick to identify that face as an outsider. On top of that, nobody else had gotten off at this stop. It was a bus stop that they normally just passed on by. Somebody actually getting off there. There was no doubt that it had drawn some attention. But this wasn't a slip-up. They were the ones who directed me to get off at this stop. There was nothing to worry about. I knew that I was just nervous, since this was my first undercover assignment. My more seasoned colleagues referred to us as the new generation that didn't know how to lose their cool, but that wasn't true at all. In order to calm my breathing down, I exhaled the unpleasant air residing in the pit of my stomach. I need some more throat-numbing spray. The Glophitis to the rescue! I think I accidentally swallowed some. Well, crap. I'm not going to be able to feel my stomach, and it's going to feel a little sick. Sounds contradictory, but you'd be surprised. I'm just spitting it up now. I'm trying to make make a good bit of effort to spit it all out, or as much as I can, so that I don't get traces of it when I drink water then. Alright. I couldn't help but pray that my apprehensions would disappear like the white clouds of exhaust expelled from the bus. White? I wouldn't expect exhaust to be white. There was a small shed there to serve as shelter if it rained, and it was there I decided to wait. Inside the shed, one wall was plastered with posters advertising the dam opposition efforts. It was like the heartfelt screams of the villagers were recorded on that wall. Inside that shelter, I felt an inexplicable pressure. It wasn't like I had any real relation to the dam project, but it still made me feel hesitant about being inside there. That was just how filled with the force of denial that space was. And inside that uneasy space was a girl. Alright. I think I know which girl this is gonna be. Let me straighten up. Inside that shed, covered in words written in broad brushstrokes berating the policies regarding the dam and calling for action, there was a girl sitting there with a drowsy gaze, as if half asleep. The two images clashed so much that I could only stand there dumbfounded for a moment, trapped in such a surreal environment. If I stepped inside, who knew what kind of oafish noises I would accidentally make? I couldn't be disturbing this girl's slumber like that. Having thought this, I gave up on entering the shed. It was just a sleeping kid, so why was I so worked up about it? Finally, I realized. This girl, to us, as a married couple, was the very image of our ideal child. Even after numerous examinations at the hospital, we didn't know for sure what our child's gender was. Whether we could tell if they were a boy or a girl was, in the end, dependent on whether or not we could get an image of their genitalia. There was, of course, no guarantee that it was a girl, but with things the way they were, the possibility was high. Even so, Yukie had been saying the chances that it was a boy or a girl were even. But in my heart, I had already decided that our coming child was a girl. Since the day I decided that until now, it was so fun to imagine how our child would grow up that I couldn't help myself. Amongst those numerous imagined forms, the one that I thought to be the most ideal had materialized right in front of me. Of course, a little of it was due to the circumstances. In my ideal image, her hair would be on the short side. The girl in front of me, though, had long hair. It was almost as if somebody had taken my ideal and made some small adjustments. There should be an as right there. Just making note for future reference to help with modding. It certainly wasn't something unpleasant. Even so, I felt like I was sullying her just by looking at her like that. She had an immaculate, no, a divine air about her. with an angelic smile, with a yawn wide enough you could see her molars, woke up all of a sudden. I didn't mean to peep, but locking eyes with a girl who had just woken up like this somehow made me feel like I was playing a prank on her. I wasn't doing anything shady, but I became flustered. The girl spoke. No, cried out.
Me.
You? Like that character on the show with the puppets? Beaker. With the orange hair? I thought it was just one of those greetings kids do. Yeah, Beaker's a Muppet. So in order to prove I wasn't a suspicious person, I responded in kind.
Me.
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 Me. Me. The girl stared at me dubiously with a doll-like expression. Cute, but cold and hard to read. Well, I wouldn't be surprised. There was, after all, an unfamiliar man right in front of her when she woke up, who responded with meep when she said the same. Suspicious. She definitely thought I was suspicious.
Me.
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 Me? We were both at a loss for words. No, the only one lost was me. The girl in front of me, as if inquiring about my motives, stared at me intently. Oh, well, my Twitch app just crashed. It just gave up. It's like, no, I'm not even gonna boot you and tell you you're offline. I'm just gonna crash on you. Apparently that's how Twitch rolls now. Just give me a second. This is how I see Twitch chat, so I need to have it up. And the Wi-Fi sucks, so nothing's loading. From one headache to the next, I guess. Just give me a moment. I might as well reread this line. I think I've read it already. The girl in front of me, as if inquiring about my motives, stared at me intently. Okay. Hey, Laboost. Konbanwa, Rabatwaya-san. How are you two doing tonight? In the silence, I felt like I was the one who had to say something first. Darn it! This girl was way better at interrogating somebody than Oishi.
怪しいものじゃないんだ。
This is how you choose to blow your cover. No, I'm not anybody suspicious.
私は
I'm...
みぱ
ニパ
Nipa. What I could have only described as a cold expression suddenly blossomed into a smile, one that soon infected me. You might be familiar with the term angelic smile. There must be a specific Japanese term for this. To me, it was like that phrase was created just to describe the smile she gave me. No, I'm not gonna look it up right now. Rapid fire one might know. Rapid fire song. 映画の翻訳は angelic smile だった。日本語の単語は何ですか？覚えれれば。The girl was smiling while saying, Nipa! probably wanted me to return the favor in kind. That's right. This was a kid's form of communication. Oh gosh. This is gonna be even cringier than in the anime. Having the other person emulate what you just did was a rudimentary form of mutual understanding.
ニパ
ニパー。あ、赤坂さんが、ダイアログがなく、テキストが英語に、単語、angelic smile と翻訳していた日本語の単語について話していました。日本語の翻訳は何だったことを教えたかったです。I could look it up, what the angelic smile word was, but I'll keep this generally going, so if I can just, if my brain will actually start working. So let's continue with this while I'm loading it. It was a beautiful afternoon in the early summer. What was I doing? You're doing that apparently.
ニパー
This is a bit weird. ちょっと変ですね。ニパー Well, whatever. まあいいよ。This is interesting in its own way. Yeah. Oh, I'm starting to get a little lightheaded. I don't know why. That's weird. Maybe because of the laughing. Maybe it's just due to that. I don't know, I'm feeling kind of weird. What? Oh, looking in the wrong folder. That'll do it. If making somebody happy with just a smile was the work of angels, then this girl was definitely one of them. Okay, chapter 2. Nisetsu. No, not setsu. Nisho. Alright, let's crack this baby open. If making some... oh, I just read that. I couldn't help but pray that my own child, who was soon to be born, would grow up to be like this girl. That strangely gentle moment was finally brought to the end by the arrival of a car. An older person waved at me from the driver's seat. A dry smile plastered on their face. Hi there! Good afternoon!
遅れて申し訳ないことです。
Sorry for being late.
昨日お電話くださった観光の方ですかね？
This is the classic derp voice. You're the tourist who phoned yesterday, right?
あ、はい。
Yes. 1 second. I just wanna pop this in a translation machine. オートマティック翻訳士のマシンを使っています。天使の笑顔。それは単語だった。Yes.
お待たせして申し訳ね
Sorry to keep you waiting.
え。いや、野良でちょいと遅れましてね。
I'm running a little behind because of the farm.
したらと、お乗りくださいな。
Hop right on in.
天気もまんた崩れそうだから、チャケチャケご案内しますよ。
It looks like the weather isn't gonna hold up for much longer, so let's show you around real quick.
天気ですか？
The weather?
ああ、ここいらは崩れると早いよ。
It changes fast around here. I'd imagine so with all the mountains. My college is in a campus town that's it has a mountain right by it, so I know exactly what they're talking about.
今日も夕立になるかもな。
There'll probably be evening showers again today.
そうなったら、あんた写真さ撮るところじゃなくなるでしょ。
If that happens, you won't be able to take any pictures.
ほら、乗って乗って。
Come on, get in, get in.
Me.
Turning around, the girl was standing right behind me with an intrigued expression. Her body language somehow reminded me of a stray cat that followed you around after you played with it a little. So charming.
あれ、リカちゃまじゃねえですか。
Well, if it isn't Rika-sama!
ありがたや、ありがたや。
Praise be! Praise be!
Nipa!
A girl named Rika with an immaculate smile, and an old man praising her while rubbing prayer beads in his hands. It was a rather mysterious sight to behold. 1 second. So the girl turns her face at me, tilting her head a little in a cutesy manner. After seeing that, the elder introduces me as a tourist who came to sightsee Hinamizawa. Well, sort of, but not quite. You see, Chan actually comes from San, but in a baby talk, sort of. So it's sort of cutesy, endearing. It's still sort of an honorific, but it's like for like little kids or for a close female. With Sama, it becomes Chama, and since she's the daughter of the shrine priest, it would make sense that she's called Rika-chama. With as little as she is, and as high up as she is, especially being the heir to the three families. Did I read this? After seeing that, the elder introduces me as a tourist who came to sightsee Hinamizawa.
村を観光したい若者なのです。
Sorry, Labus, I said I'd put some Japanese learning tips in the Discord, and I never did, so I'll have to get to that.
A youngin who came to the village for sightseeing.
The girl, Rika-chan, said that with a smile as she clung onto my arm.
まあね。
Well, yeah.
この村の自然がとても貴重だと聞いたんで、ぜひカメラに収めたいと思ったんだよ。
I heard that this village is surrounded by a precious nature reserve, so I very much wanted to record that with my camera.
私はこう見えても、とっても写真撮影が好きでね。
Even though I look like this, I really like to take pictures.
富竹2号なのです。
This is before Tomitake. So here's the first clue. Here's the first clue that she is aware of the time looping. Unless Tomitake has been coming like every year for over 5 years. Because remember, this is 1978, and most of these arcs are 1983.
Tomitake Mark II.
And the Mark II is, well, I think it's a reference to the Sten Mark II, which was a pretty awesome gun in World War II. It was British made. I used to be a weapon hobbyist back when I was a kid and early teen.
Tomitake?
Tomitake?
Makino?
マキノ
僕も一緒に行ってはいけませんですか？
Is it okay if I come along too?
そんなレイカジャマが来ても面白いことなんか何もないですよ。
I couldn't. You could come along, Rika-sama, but there's nothing interesting to see.
レカジャマは境内でマリア遊びでもしててくださいな。
You should go play near the shrine or something. A distinctly displeased expression creeped across Rika-chan's face. Being able to show one's emotions honestly on their faces was a privilege young children had. That's a cool little emote. Whose is it?
もしお差し支えなければこの子も連れて行ってあげてください。
If it's not too much of a problem, could you bring this child along with us? When I said those helpful words, another smile spread across Rika-chan's face with another
Nipa!
as she clung to me again. Not bad at all. I want this girl to call me Papa. Oh my gosh, I just remembered. There's a Discord server. There's a Discord server about Higurashi no Naku Koro, and someone got banned for saying about Rika, I want this girl to call me Papa. Or no, they didn't get banned, they were told to get out, and so they left. That's what happened. They never must have caught on it's a reference. Oh my goodness. Higurashi no Naku Koroにつく Discord サーバーがあります。一人があの少女パパ、あの少女がパパって言いたいってのことをこの文をあの一人が日暮らしのディスコードサーバーに行っていました。だけど他の人々がシャレを認めなかったって文が一つで変態に聞こえていたから他の人々は出て行けって言っていた。あの一人が出た。No. Father! Dad! Daddy. That was the most perverted face I could think to make. What am I doing? Ever since I met this girl, I was completely off my game. Just calm down.
仕方なかんと。
Nothing I can do, I guess.
レカ様はダメだ言うても聞かんしな。
Rika-sama never listens even if you say no. So, why is he saying Rika when Keiichi says Rika? Yeah. Keiichi says Rika, Rena says Rika, Mion says Rika, but Makino is saying Rika. I'm trying to learn Japanese and get the pitch accents right, and they're throwing me for a loop with you know, not keeping all their voice actors coordinated with this. Anyway.
知ったらんと、己くだし。
Come on! Hop on in!
ささ、リカちゃまも。
Come now, Rika-sama too! Oh, I keep going like this, and I forget that it's offensive in Japan. You're supposed to do this. The old man descended from the driver's seat and opened up the sliding door of the van, which had Onigafuchi Alliance Town Council stenciled on the side. Rika-chan brushed me aside, dove into a seat, and began bouncing around right away. It seemed like she was thoroughly enjoying the bouncy springs.
かんれ、リカちゃま。
Come on now, Rika-chan.
そんじゃお客人が座れねえですよ。
If you're like that, I guess can sit down. I already forgot that there was a van. See, I get so focused on voice acting that I don't take it in. 声優に頑張っていることか、構えすぎている、だから、インフォメーションを、プロセスしていないんです。Did I say this already? Come on now, Rika-sama. If you're like that, I guess can't sit down.
だだ、こら、リカちゃま。
Hey, Rika-sama. Girls are nice. If I could make blood come out of my nose on cue, I would right now. I wonder if my child would play around like this too. Well, actually, scratch that. I'm feeling a little lightheaded still. Chiを鼻から落とせれば、落とすよ。いや、落とさない。まだちょっとフラフラしているから。No, no, no, no! It was written in that guide to raising a child that you shouldn't dote on them. Kids are kids. If you don't raise them strictly without spoiling them.
ふかふかでバインバインでニパー。It's soft and springy, ニパー。
ニパ
ー。ニパー。I am definitely going to be a terrible father. It was decided that I would be a doting parent before my child was even born. Where you're supposed to dote and discipline.
そんじゃお客さん、風景の綺麗そうなとこで適当にご案内しますよ。
Well then, sir, I'll show you around some places that I think look nice.
お昼は食べましたかいね？
Have you eaten lunch yet?
え
え。Yeah.
ホテルで軽食を。
I had a light meal at the hotel.
そんですか。
Is that so?
では参りましょうかね。
Well then, let's get going. Me patting my stomach, realizing I need to keep exercising.
南沢観光に出発なのですよ。
We're setting off on a tour of Hinamizawa.
君はリカちゃんでいいのかい？
Is it alright if I call you Rika-chan?
そうなのですよ。Sure! フルでリカと言いますです。My name is Rika. フルでリカ。もう繰り上がりの足し算とかもできますですよ。I can already do addition in a tens digit.
ああ、そうなの。
Oh, is that true? And she's only 5 right now. 今は5歳だけだ。
それはすごいな。
That's amazing.
指とかは折ってませんですよ。I don't count on my fingers. ちゃんと暗算でできますですよ。I can do it all in my head.
The way she insisted upon that was just too cute. At some point, the nervousness I had about being alone in enemy territory had evaporated like it was never there at all. I had to be at least a little thankful that I met this girl.
じゃあ出発しましょうかいね。
Well then, let's get going!
南沢大自然ウォッチング。
It's time for Hinamizawa nature watching! The old man stepped on the gas with a great deal of gusto. Do more throat spray. I don't know where I would be without Chloroseptic and Entertainer's Secret. These two are amazing. This is all I can do. I hope it's syncing up with my microphone and the music. I just realized that it might not be. Oh, I hope it doesn't sound terrible. I was a music composition major, so I do know how to keep a rhythm. The old man, who was apparently named Makino, was he the same Makino that was listed as the auditor of the Oniga Defense Alliance? Showed me around places that were all breathtaking. Even though I wasn't really here for sightseeing, I couldn't help but be impressed. First of all, this was different from the simple scenery of a city. Wow, that's some alliteration for you. The simple scenery of a city. Simple scenery of a city, the simple scenery of a city, the simple scenery of a city, the simple scenery of a city. It's not a tongue twister, but it's alliterative. The scenery of a charming village like this, no matter how mundane it seemed to the villagers, had a tranquil appeal to it. R of Can. Okay, was it part of the original soundtrack or part of the Manga Gamer soundtrack? I mean, I could find it either way on YouTube, I'm sure. At first, I was only releasing the shutter as part of my tourist act, but midway through, I found myself taking pictures out of pure interest. Tourist traps had their own unique allure to them. There was nothing like that here. I was especially captivated by the unspoiled nature of the place. If there wasn't that whole uproar of the dam, I would want to bring Yukie with me here some other time. I think it's too late for that, fam. Ah, I missed it.
どんなのが面白いのですか?
I was too busy doing creepy eyes that my brother. I don't know if anyone's watched the show Gilmore Girls before, but the grandmother on that, she has sort of like bulging eyes, and so my brother can kind of do the bulging eyes while doing that thing, and he calls them the Emily Gilmore eyes. And it's kind of mean, but it's funny. Tourist traps had their own unique allure to them, but there was nothing like that here. Oh, darn it. Okay. I was especially captivated by the unspoiled nature of the place. Program mode. Okay. If there wasn't that whole uproar of the dam, I would want to bring Yukie with me here some other time. I wanted her to breathe in this fresh air, as well as show her this rejuvenating, verdant scenery.
Is something like this that interesting? 赤坂は変な人なのです。You're a strange person, 赤坂。
いや、こういう円筒状の郵便ポストなんて今はとても貴重だよ。
No, these cylindrical I'm already tripping over my own words. Next thing I know, I'm gonna start yawning. No, these cylindrical mailboxes are rare nowadays.
どことなく漂うノスタルジックな雰囲気は渋いと思わないかな。
They have a certain nostalgic air about them. You wouldn't happen to think they're elegant, would you? I'm starting to feel a yawn coming.
Hinamizawa は楽しいですか？ Is Hinamizawa fun?
まあ、楽しいよ。
Yeah, it's fun.
退院したらぜひ家内を連れてもう一度来たいよ。
Once she's discharged from the hospital, I'd like to bring my wife here at least once.
その時には生まれている
With the
子供
child
も一緒にね。
typo. With the child that would be born by that time. See, she knows how this is gonna turn out. She knows, we all know. He's just, oblivious. Poor
今
guy.
は出産を控えて入院しているんだ。
Right now, she's in the hospital waiting to give birth.
予定日がもうすぐでね。
She's due any day now.
君みたいな可愛い女の子だといいんだけど。
It'd be nice if they're a cute girl like you.
お客さんはもうすぐおめでたですかいね。
Sure, it seems like congratulations are soon to be in order.
そんないけねえよ。
Still, that's not good.
奥さん放り出してこんなとこに遊びに来てちゃ。
To leave your wife behind and play around in a place like this. Oh. I was momentarily at a loss for words. It was exactly how Makino said. There was no good reason for a man who was waiting for his wife to give birth to be playing around idly in this place. Did I slip up?
ま
あ。Well.
ひなみ沢への旅行は前々からの予定だったんで。
Yeah, we had already planned this trip to Hinamizawa a long time ago.
妻の家族が付き添ってくれているから大丈夫だし。
No, my wife's family is with her, so it's all right.
そんな年前から予定してたんなら大自然ウォッチング。
You had this plan so far in advance.
もしかめ間に合わんとかいね。
How come you didn't make the sign-up deadline for the nature watching?
いや、そんだったらこんな窮屈な思いさせんと綺麗な観光バスで回れたのね。
If you did, you could have toured around on a nice bus instead of being cramped up in here. It didn't seem as if Makino was actually digging for anything. But if this conversation continued any longer, it would put some unexpected holes in my cover. I halted the conversation by pretending to take another picture.
んざ最後の一番景色のいいとこさ案内しましょうかね。
Well then, for our last stop, I'll take you to the place with the best view. It was slightly before evening. The sun was still burning brightly, but a cool breeze had begun to mix itself into the air. It seemed my exploration of Hinamizawa with Rika-chan was just about done.
一番景色のいいところですか？ The place with the best view?
そんなリカちゃま、境内からの景色さを置いて他にはありませんやね。
Well, Rika-chan, where else could it be but the view from around the shrine? Hearing that, Rika-chan smiled even more.
では、赤坂を僕のお家へご招待なのです。Well then, I'll introduce you to my home, Akasaka.
リカちゃんのお家って。
By Rika-chan's home, you mean... Huh?
神社ですよ。
The shrine.
古で神社。
Furude shrine.
高台にありましてね。
There's an observation platform.
景色さ見られるんですよ。
You can see some real pretty scenery.
古で神社。
Furude Shrine. The girl who called Furude Shrine her home. Rika. If I remember correctly, her full name was Furude Rika. And Furude was... That's right. One of the three families. Even if the Sonozaki family is said to hold all the actual power, it was still one of the old houses that held some authority. No, more important than that right now was Furude Shrine. If I remember correctly, Oyashiro had told me. Within the grounds of the Furude Shrine, there were the offices of the Oyashiro Defense Alliance. And since the land around Furude Shrine were private property, the police couldn't set foot there heedlessly. Furude Shrine, where even Oyashiro couldn't simply set foot into. The main base of operations for the Oyashiro Defense Alliance. I had been given the unexpected opportunity to enter there. I couldn't have asked for more.
楽しみです。
I'm looking forward to it.
ぜひお願いします。
Please, if you would.
じゃあ、酒々参りましょうかね。
Well then, let's get there quick.
天気も少し怪しいですからな。
The weather seems to be getting a little iffy.
Do old people actually talk like this in Japan?
方が古い男が日本に
それっぽく聞こえますか? The sky had suddenly become overcast. It wouldn't be odd if it started raining soon. The cicadas, as if trying to finish their daily allotment of chirps before the evening, cried out even more fervently. Getting muscle spasms.
Higurashi no Naku Koro ni Himatsubushi-hen.
My Sengoku Musou Oda Nobunaga narrator voice sounds off there. Sounds overly serious. The van stopped in the shrine's parking lot. Also parked there were numerous other vans with loudspeakers mounted on top of them to act as makeshift propaganda vehicles. On the side of each vehicle was scrawled, "The dam project must be demolished. Defend our homeland to the last. No Oyashiro-sama's anger," or a slogan of a similar kind. They gave the feeling that even without using loudspeakers there was enough to overwhelm any onlookers. Vertical banners were erected in various places. The contents of those banners were similar. They were all objections against the dam, or crude insults towards the government. There were horizontal banners, placards, and so on and so forth. They proclaimed that without a doubt this was the headquarters of the Oyashiro Defense Alliance. For Rika-chan, however, this hectic place was also her home.
着きましたのですよ。
We've arrived.
ただいまなのです。
I'm home.
Rika-chan crawled over my lap and exited the vehicle first. Makino had noticed that I was looking at protest banners.
神社はダム反対運動の事務所も兼ねてましてね。
The shrine also has the offices of the anti-dam movement.
こんな風景もあんたらには反安保闘争みてえで懐かしいでしょ。
For you, this probably brings back memories of the anti-security treaty conflicts back in the day.
Let me see. Anti-security treaty conflicts. Student movements against government policies, movements that bordered on terrorist activity, were at one time commonplace, if only in order to garner global attention. Okay, so this is part of Japanese history I don't know about. Students holding out in lecture halls, brawling with the riot squads that charged in. It was an age where wasting one's youth like that was widely considered a red glory. It was slightly before my time.
私は別に活動家ではありませんので。
I'm not really an activist or anything.
普通に学び、普通に卒業しました。
I studied without incident and graduated without incident. What's life if you don't stand up for the things you believe in?
国の政策にあのような暴力や立てこもりで対抗しようというのには、私は同意できません。
I don't really agree with the violence or occupations you use to protest the government's policies.
はあ。あんた、それはそれで立派な意見さんお持ちだね。
You have quite a nice opinion there.
政策に意見したかったら、同じ意見の政治家に投票するか、自ら政治の世界に飛び込み、正当な手続きを持って意見を主張するべきであると思っています。
If you have an opinion on a policy, vote for the candidate who shares your view, or enter the political world yourself and assert your beliefs in a lawful manner.
それが民主政治の原点です。
That is the foundation of democracy. Well, so is activism, Akasaka sensei.
それに、暴力で挑戦するなど、あってはならないと思います。
I don't think that's something you should challenge with violence. For a youngin, you have some fine beliefs. I saw that feeling of respect reflected in Makino's gaze. Respect? I don't... Okay, well... I always... In the anime, I took it as, it being like, you know, thinking that, you know, this person... Like, Makino thinking this person, you know, shouldn't be saying that stuff. And they're getting in over their head. But... Wow. I guess this little detail is better communicated in the visual novels. At that moment, something tugged at my sleeve.
赤坂が何を言っているのか全然わからないのですよ。I have no idea what Akasaka is saying.
I think you have at least some idea. Rika-chan, feeling like she was the only one who didn't understand the conversation, had a look of displeasure on her face. That expression was so charming I had to keep myself from grinning like an idiot. It's often said that a father wants to spoil his daughter rotten. I think I understood that feeling very well.
ごめんね。
Sorry.
リカちゃんには難しい話だったね。
It was a little bit hard for Rika-chan to understand, wasn't it?
日本は平和の国だから、自分の言いたいことは平和的に訴えなきゃいけない。
Japan is a peaceful country, so you have to argue your point in a peaceful manner.
暴力で訴えてはいけない。
You shouldn't resort to violence, in other words. No matter how much I explained, a girl who was just boasting about being able to carry digits over when adding things probably wouldn't understand. It probably wasn't something to talk about in front of Rika-chan anyway.
では赤坂。
そうでん、赤坂？
僕たちの村はどうやったらダムに沈まなくなるのですか？
How do you think we should keep our village from being flooded by the dam?
She looks serious. She looks serious! Even if I regretted my careless words, it was too late now. Here I was, at the main headquarters of an organization, telling them their way of doing things was illegal. Preaching that violence was not the answer. A complicated feeling had mixed itself in with the respect in Makino's gaze. It was then I finally realized. It wasn't that simple. There wasn't a soul who would argue that what I was saying wasn't correct. Using violence to get one's way was something everybody knew you shouldn't be proud of. However, right now, Hinamizawa was in a predicament that couldn't be overcome with peaceful means alone. The legality of the Hinamizawa Dam project, through the efforts of the various propaganda campaigns enacted by the Onagafuchi Defense Alliance, was being called into question. If they further strengthened their campaign, they might be able to suspend or change the construction plans. But that was at the most just a possibility. If the government proceeded with construction as planned, it wouldn't be long before this place was at the bottom of a lake. If it wasn't for the unrestrained resistance of the residents of Hinamizawa, this place might already have been underwater.
僕たちはここでしか生きていけないのです。
We can't live anywhere else other than here.
都会では生きていけないのです。
We can't live in the city.
The words of this remarkably young girl were all too accurate, carrying with them the screams of the hearts and minds of the residents of Hinamizawa. Of course, there was nothing I could say to respond to that. I could only respond to Makino and Rika-chan's heavy words with silence.
すみません。
I'm sorry.
よそ者が気安く言えるような問題ではなかったですね。
This isn't a problem that an outsider should lightly just poke their nose into, is it?
謝罪します。
I apologize. Makino, unsure of how to reply for a while, could only laugh pointlessly. I think mine was better.
お客人たちのようなよそに住んでる方々には関係ねえことです。
There's nothing that concerns guests that make their homes somewhere else.
ひなみ沢さ気に入ってくださったんなら、お客人のお友達みんなにもひなみ沢さ素晴らしいところだって宣伝してください。
If you enjoy it here, please tell all your friends that Hinamizawa is a wonderful place, please.
そういうのが何十年何百年と広がっていけば、この村さダム底に沈めるなんてふざけた計画もやがてはついえるんですかね。
If word spreads to dozens, maybe even hundreds of people, then that ridiculous plan to submerge this place at the foot of the dam will eventually fall apart.
He followed that with a smile that said,
Please don't think much of it.
Makino, letting me not worry that much really was a stroke of good fortune. Becoming infatuated with the idea of making friends with a little girl had made me completely forget my apprehension at being in an enemy territory. Being reminded of this right before I was going to step foot into their headquarters might have been a good thing. If we'd had this exchange in the middle of their office, if there was a short-tempered youth in there, they might have come at me. Thinking of how extreme they were, in the worst case, my life could have been in danger. Or if you might have to blow your cover as a policeman. It seemed that I looked quite despondent at that moment. Makino, thinking he had said something wrong, became flustered trying to think of a way to improve my mood.
本当に軽率なことを言いました。
I was a bit careless just now.
本当にすみませんでした。
I'm very sorry.
いいえ。
Oh no.
そんなにお気にされないでください。
Oh, don't worry that much about it.
今日案内してもらった村のあちこちはどこもとても美しく素晴らしい場所ばかりでした。
The sights he showed me around the village were all beautiful, wonderful places.
もう一度来たいと心底思わされました。
I really do want to come here one more time.
そんな美しい村がダムの湖底に沈むことになれば必死の戦いになるのもわかります。
If this beautiful village is going to be submerged at the bottom of a lake, I can understand why you would fight so desperately. I somehow managed to use my despondent look to change the topic in my favor. After a bit, Makino had returned to his usual high spirits. It seemed he believed I completely sympathized with his point of view.
そうそう。
No, no.
そんな話はこれくらいにしましょう。
Let's leave the talk at that for now.
本当にとても景色さいいところがあるんです。
There's a place around here with a really great view.
行きましょうですよ、赤坂。Let's go, 赤坂。
Rika-chan, seemingly happy to be free from all the boring and gloomy adult talk, bounded up the stone steps. I almost used Keiichi's voice there. 早くケイイチの声使っていた。Rika-chan! There was no real need to run, but in order to catch up with her, I also darted up the steps. My back's sweaty. There were several tents belonging to the town council erected on the shrine grounds. My throat's already hurting again. Inside the tents were several folding tables and chairs, and a number of the older town council members were livening things up with chit-chat. Excuse me. I'm just trying not to swallow while I'm speaking and still hold this mixture of chloroseptic and saliva in my mouth. Letting it soak in. Alright. Let me try this again. Inside the tents were several folding tables and chairs, and a number of the older town council members were livening things up with chit-chat. They weren't saying anything incendiary, like, the damn project must be destroyed! It was just some relaxed idle chit-chat between local geezers. The normal sort of calming scenery. At the entrance of a shed that looked like a meeting place, there is a large sign erected with Onigafuchi Defense Alliance headquarters written in bold brushstrokes. Brushstrokes, of course! Nothing says, Old Japan, Yamato, Nippon, like actual brushstrokes, calligraphy. None of that typeset crap. That was their base of operations. To be honest, it was a bit of a letdown. If you asked what I had been imagining, this is a bit embarrassing, but I'd have thought it would be something much more dramatic. With barbed wire fences and barricades. Sounds like you've been buying into the propaganda of the government. My first impression of the place, though, was completely different from that. It looked like a simple backwater town hall. It didn't look like anything other than exactly that. I'm just looking and checking the tomoes here because in the anime, you'll notice when they have the banners up for Watanagashi, the Watanagashi Omatsuri, they use a futadomoe, a two-pronged swirl. Usually, you see mitsudomoe, which are three-pronged swirls like these. But the two-pronged swirls, the futadomoe, I have a theory as to why they use those in the anime. And I think it's to do with the coexistence of humans and demons in the town. I think that's what that's about. 私の思いは、渡中市お祭りのサインの二どもえは、人間と鬼のコミュニティにつくんです。The old folks who were chatting had noticed Rika-chan's presence.
リカちゃまじゃないの。
Well, this isn't Rika-sama. Well, the old person's speech is just degenerating.
もう子供はお家に帰る時間だよ。
It's time for little kids to head on home. You can tell I'm having fun with
ここは
this.
僕のお家なのですよ。This is my home.
The old folks guffawed since she wasn't wrong. From that exchange, I could tell that this Furude Rika girl was loved by everybody.
牧野さん、その人？
Is it Makino-san or Makino-san? I give up. I give up. 諦めている. Makino-san, who's that?
電話をくれた観光の人は？
A tourist who phoned?
そんですよ。
That's right.
こちら村長さんに、ひなめ沢の組吉村長さん。
This is the mayor of Hinamizawa, Mayor Kimiyoshi. He smiled brightly. There's no mistaking he would be scary if he got angry. By the looks of things, this old man was the president of the Onigafuchi Defense Alliance, none other than Kimiyoshi Kiichiro himself. I don't know. At least Kimiyoshi Kiichiro-san in the anime didn't seem that scary in Miyakashi-hen. I won't spoil things for anybody who hasn't read, played, watched Miyakashi-hen yet. It's gonna be the arc after this one. But, anyway. Yeah, I read this, didn't I?
ようこそひなみ沢へ。
Welcome to Hinamizawa!
いかがでしたか？
What do you think?
静かでゆっくりしたところでしょう。
It's a quiet and relaxing place, isn't it? Oh, he opened his eyes. He's given that side eye.
ええ。
Yeah.
今日一日、美しい場所をいくつも堪能させていただきました。
I was able to appreciate a multitude of beautiful places throughout the whole day.
貴重な機会をお与えくださったことを感謝します。
I'm thankful for being granted this rare opportunity.
ふぅ。今時の若い方なのに、また真摯な方だね。
Even though you're one of those youngins, you're quite the gentleman. I don't know whether to feel complimented or to be offended. Because not all young people are, rowdy and irreverent.
喜一郎？喜一郎？
She doesn't have to even add a sound there. That's how revered she is by the community here.
赤坂に見晴らしのいいところを案内したいのですよ。
Doesn't even use sound after Akasaka either.
I want to show Akasaka a cool place.
Thinking that the formalities between myself and the mayor had gone on for too long, Rika-chan butted into the conversation. There is also a typo there. It should be into without a space. For her to call the mayor by his first name, I thought it was a little strange, but none of the villagers seemed to mind. A girl of the Higurashi household, one of the 3 families, she was probably different than the average villager.
赤坂、こっちなのですよ。
Wow, the music was perfectly timed. Like, it stopped when there was a natural silence in it.
Akasaka, over here.
She could probably get away with doing this if she wanted to, honestly. Rika-chan tugged at my sleeve. Not resisting, I allowed myself to be pulled over. And waiting for me was a magnificent view.
これはすごい。
This is amazing. It was an observation deck that looked down on the village. They, knowing that this was the best view in the entire village, kept quiet as I stood there awestruck. I was holding a camera, but had completely forgotten to even glance at the viewfinder. This view, no matter what kind of film it was printed on, it wouldn't be able to show everything. If there was a way to explain it, it would only be what I would be able to put into words. It was just such a breathtakingly spectacular view that I struggled to find a comparison. For a while, I was left awestruck. I could only stand there and wonder. A cool breeze helped abate the heat rushing through my body. That comfortable sensation also left me speechless. Rika-chan, who had been holding onto my sleeve the entire time, spoke. Hold on, just stretched my legs.
僕の一番のお気に入りの場所なのですよ。This is my favorite spot.
As she said that, she showed me another adorable smile. That smile seemed very fleeting. If you asked why, that was because the view from her favorite spot would eventually be submerged under the deep green waters of the dam reservoir.
こんな村が湖底に沈むことになってるなんて
I just
信じられないよ。
can't believe that this village is gonna end up at the bottom of the lake. I said it quietly so that only Rika-chan could hear it. I regretted it as soon as I did. Those words were all too cruel. However, Rika-chan didn't let them cast a cloud on her expression. In fact, she replied with a smile.
沈みませんよ。It won't sink. ダム計画なんて必ずなくなっちゃいますのです。The dam project will definitely go away.
It was just like a little girl to say something like that. There was no basis for her saying so. It was just her wish.
赤坂はこの村が沈んでしまうと思っていますか？赤坂、do you think that this village will be submerged?
沈んでほしくなんか
It's
な
not
い
that,
よ。
it's not that I want it to be. I knew how important the dam was. I knew that it was necessary. I just didn't want to recognize the sacrifices that would be made. I agreed with the project in general, but couldn't agree with some of the details. But if it meant that this girl's beloved scenery wouldn't be taken away from her, I might be able to object to the dam. I might be able to ignore the interests of the nation, the development of Japan, All for the sake of one girl's smile. You softy. I'm not really much of a humanist, but how sentimental of me.
沈みませんよ。
It won't be submerged.
ダムの計画はもうすぐなくなりますですから。
Because the dam project will soon go away.
Her words weren't just hopes and dreams, but were seasoned with a hint of resolve. As if she were talking about an unchangeably predetermined outcome. As surely as the sun rising in the east.
もうすぐなくなる？
It'll be gone soon? Wanting to ask her why she believed that, I turned around.
はい。
Yes,
なくなりますのですよ。
it'll be gone.
どうしてそう言い切れるんだい？
I should probably be looking up when I'm doing Rika's voice. What makes you say that?
それはなのです。
Well, you see...
She seemed to want to answer, but as though unable to find the right words, she swallowed back what she was about to say.
赤坂が何をしてもしなくても、
Regardless of what Akasaka does,
ダム計画は今年で終わりになってしまうのです。
the dam project will end this year.
もう決まっていることなのですよ。
It's already been decided.
That was a lie. If something like that had already been decided, then the Onegachi Defense Alliance would have no reason to continue existing. From my point of view, it was like they were doing nothing more than throwing themselves into an endless battle. If they knew the dam project was cancelled, it would feel much more relaxed around here. This village, though, could hardly be called relaxed. For evidence of that, I just had to remember how charged the atmosphere was at the checkpoint, or at the bus stop. The villagers, with their misplaced resolve, were still fighting. And this girl, even knowing the villagers' grim resolve, had already declared their victory. The villagers throwing themselves into this endless war, and this optimistic girl who said they had already won. That contrast was somehow strange.
どうしてそう思うんだい？
Why do you think that?
何か確信があるなら私に教えてくれないかい？
If you know something that makes you that confident, could you tell me? Rika-chan stayed silent for a while, seemingly choosing what to say.
だって、
Because...
だって
Because she looked like she was lost in whether she should continue or not. As if she were troubled on whether it was okay for her to say it. That kind of expression.
決まっていることなのです。
It's already been decided.
他に言いようがないのですよ。
There's no other way to say it.
決まっているって言ったって。
It's already been decided. Huh. It really is just like a little girl to say something like that. I couldn't believe it was actually true. She was the only one saying such things with such confidence. My real mission, that I had forgotten about during this fun-filled day, resurfaced at the back of my mind. The kidnapping of the minister's grandson. Had the Onegachi Defense Alliance kidnapped the minister's grandson and already succeeded in negotiating the cancellation of the dam project? Did Kimihoshi actually already know that and was just playing dumb? Was that what this girl was really telling me?
赤坂、
Akasaka?
The girl called out my name suddenly.
なんだい？
What is it?
東京へ帰れ。
Go back to Tokyo.
This is the first time we hear the adult voice within Rika. Huh? I wasn't only surprised at that sudden command. Ever since I came to this village, I'd never once mentioned I was from Tokyo. Well, based on my accent, she might have been able to guess where I was from. What was I getting so worked up over? It was probably the sudden and complete change in her demeanor.
あなたはさっさと東京に帰った方がいい。
You should definitely go back to Tokyo right now. Right away.
でないとひどく後悔することになる。
If not, you will willfully regret it.
The girl had been holding my sleeve the entire time. She'd been tugging at my sleeve since hurriedly dragging me over to show me this wonderful view. But this was the adorable Rika-chan, who I'd spent the entire day with. There was no way she could have been replaced with a doppelganger when I wasn't looking. She had been holding onto my sleeve this entire time, but somehow this girl was someone other than Rika-chan. She looked like Rika-chan, but she wasn't. She was some girl I had never met before. That girl had told me in an indifferent voice that I would eventually regret coming to this village from the bottom of my heart.
それがあまりにもみすぼらしくて気の毒な姿だから。
That would be an incredibly pathetic thing to see.
今のうちから警告してあげているのです。
So I thought I'd warn you right now.
どうして私が後悔することになると。
Why would I come to regret it?
いちいちうるさいな。
Stop whining.
I couldn't believe that I was hearing such cold words come from Rika-chan's mouth. I just couldn't believe it. Was somebody impersonating her? Using ventriloquism or something? Thinking that I wanted to take a look around, but the girl's gaze had me pinned down, making me unable to move.
あなたの親はあなたが赤信号の横断歩道の真ん中にいるときどうして危ないのかを全部説明し終えるまであなたの手を引っ張らないの？
When you tried crossing the road when the don't walk sign was up, did your parents finish explaining why it was dangerous before pulling you back to the sidewalk?
引っ張るでしょ。
They'd pull you back right away, wouldn't they?
まず歩道まで連れ戻してからなぜ危険なのかを解くでしょ。
They'd pull you back before explaining why it was dangerous, wouldn't they?
つまりはそういうこと。
In other words, it's something like that.
The girl I had spent time with, Rika, would not speak like that. She would speak with a cuteness befitting her age, with brief, childish remarks, expressing her emotions honestly. She definitely wouldn't speak with such pointed words.
警告はした。
I've warned you.
勘違いしないでほしいのは私があなたを嫌いだからこういうことを言ってるわけじゃないってこと。
Don't get the wrong idea. It's not like I'm saying this because I hate you.
死んでもいい人に危険なんかを教える必要はないのだし。
You don't need to tell somebody who's better off dead that they're in danger.
君は誰だ？
Who are you?
リカちゃんじゃない。
You're not Rika-chan. As soon as I accused her of not being Rika-chan, she let out a strange, quiet giggle. It was a laugh not befitting a child of her age. It was like she was possessed by something. The ons have officially commenced at 11:51 p.m. Her change was just that total and complete. Was Rika-chan being attacked by some terrifying phenomenon? That cold idea came to mind without any sort of hesitation. Rika-chan is acting strange. Somebody... Help! Thinking that I'd yell that, I turned to where the mayor was. Immediately realized he was looking at us with a smile. That's right. To him, it looked like nothing more than me and Rika-chan fooling around. He didn't notice that there was something terrifying happening to her.
赤坂の怖がり。
Actually, I think he knows exactly what's going on.
Akasaka is such a coward.
The girl had obviously grasped that I was afraid. Noticing that and calling me a coward, she laughed again. giggling girl, approaching me in a strange manner while still laughing, lost her balance and fell flat on her face. Rika-chan fell down. If it was just a while before, I would have extended a hand to help her up without hesitation. But now, extending a hand to the ominous girl who looked like Rika-chan but wasn't, required a bit more courage than I had at the moment.
Me.
The girl cried out thus. She then squirmed upright and dusted herself off. Afterwards, she looked around restlessly as a blank expression crept across her face. You've got to be kidding me. Was she making fun of me? That way of acting. It was as though, after being possessed by something, she had lost her memories of what happened.
冗談だろ
You're joking, right?
リカちゃん
Rika-chan.
Me.
I don't know if Rika-chan had heard me or not. She just cried out like that, as if questioning herself.
お客人。はい、ミスター。リカちゃまも。リカちゃま too。お茶が入りましたよ。Tea's ready。塩大福もあるからに、ぜひ食ってきんさいな。There's some snacks too, so please come and have some.
An old lady wearing a smock was waving energetically from the entrance of the office. Hearing that there were snacks, Rika-chan's expression changed.
はーいなのです。イエーイ
A carefree smile. That was a familiar smile, the one that belonged to the embodiment of my ideal daughter. Any hint of the creepy girl that was just there, spouting sinister words, had vanished.
ほら、リカちゃま。Come on, リカちゃま。手を洗ってきんさいね。Wash your hands first. バッチおててにゃ食わせるまんじゅうはありんせんね。There aren't any manju here for dirty hands. ちゃんと洗いますですよ。Oh, that's real good. Me?
Sorry, I did that beat wrong.
Me?
Oh. Got carried away. Rika-chan responded with vigor, running off to the washing station that was along the side of the office. She stopped halfway, turning around to call to me.
早く来ないから、僕は赤坂の分までおまんじゅうが食べられてホクホクなのです。If Akasaka doesn't hurry up, I should have manju too. It's steaming fresh.
What are manju? Oh, consult a dictionary quickly. Seems it's written in hiragana most commonly, but hiragana doesn't pull up a definition for my phone. You have to put it in kanji, even if the kanji are never used. Manju, a kind of Japanese-style bun usually stuffed with sweetened bean paste. So it's sort of like a bun version of mochi, or the bun version of daifuku.
お手手を洗わない人はおまんじゅうが食べられないのですよ。People who don't wash their hands aren't allowed to eat any manju.
No matter how you looked at it, that was Rika-chan. Those words and the way she said them, no matter how you heard them, they were definitely Rika-chan's.
ほんで、お客人。Good morning, mister. 大人なんだから、お手本を示してやってくださいな。
Well, I think you're the oldest out of all of us.
You're the adult here, so show her how it's done.
The old lady urged me to wash my hands. Without any resistance, I lined up beside Rika-chan at the wash station. Splish splash. I stared at Rika-chan, intent on washing her hands properly, like she had probably learned at school. Didn't give the right sound. Who cares?
Me? 間違っていますか? Did I do something wrong?
間違いって。
By wrong, you mean...
僕のお手手の洗い方です。I'm washing my hands. 金シールを4個しかもらったことないです。I only got 4 gold stickers for it. 僕はお手手を洗うのがきっと下手なのですよ。I'm probably bad at washing my hands.
間違ってなんかないよ。
You're not doing anything wrong.
それだけしっかり洗えてれば十分だよ。
If you're washing them that carefully, that's more than enough.
それだけではダメなのですよ、赤坂。But it's not 赤坂。ちゃんとたわしを使って爪の間の赤も落とさないと金シールはもらえないのです。If you don't use a brush to clean out the dirt underneath your fingernails, you won't get a gold sticker.
うん。
Yeah.
リカちゃんは真面目で偉いな。
Rika-chan, you're very diligent. That's something to be proud of.
ニパー、赤坂に褒められましたのです。ニパー、I was praised by 赤坂。
No matter how you looked at it, it was Rika-chan. There was no trace of that girl from before. Exactly what was that sinister girl?
リカちゃん、さっきのあれはどういう意味だい？
Rika-chan, what was the meaning of what just happened now?
さっきリカちゃんは私に東京へ帰れってそう言っただろ。
Just now you told me to go back to Tokyo, didn't you?
言いましたのですか? Did I say that?
I was at a loss for words. She didn't remember what that girl just now had said. Like I would ever believe something as occult as that could happen. Like I would ever believe that Rika-chan could be possessed by that strange girl and say those creepy things. um...
リカちゃんが確かにそう言ったよ。
Rika-chan, you definitely said that.
Me.
Her expression told me that, despite my saying so, she had no idea. She wasn't playing dumb. She actually didn't know. Exactly what was that just now? Just as Rika-chan had, I had let a look of confusion creep across my face. The two of us, both looking like we had no idea what was going on, must have certainly been a humorous sight to behold. While partaking of tea and snacks, I was shown a propaganda film shot by the Defense Alliance that highlighted their resistance efforts. Oh jeez. Older folks talked passionately on how long and grueling the fight against the dam was, but they fell on deaf ears. I was transfixed by Rika-chan, who had heard these stories countless times before and was nodding off. Eventually, Rika-chan noticed I was staring at her, and smiled as she rubbed her eyes. That smile was Rika-chan's, after all. There was no hint of that sinister shadow. After that, my unreasonable fear of Rika-chan lessened with the passing of time, but I could by no means forget what had happened. It eventually grew dark. The mayor said that they had prepared dinner, but I said I would come again tomorrow and took my leave. I had to return to the hotel and file my regular report with the section chief.
そうですか。
I see.
では、また明日もぜひいらっしゃい。
Well then, please come again tomorrow.
お電話さくれれば、すぐに迎えを出しますんでね。
His voice sounds a little quiet. Makina-sanの声が、ちょっと静かに聞こえますね。Well then, please come again tomorrow. If you phone, we'll send somebody to pick you up right away.
ご好意感謝します。
I appreciate your hospitality.
ぜひ明日も遊びに来ようと思います。
I'll probably come again and enjoy myself tomorrow.
ねえ、さしてあげてくださいな。
Yes, please do.
あんた、リカちゃまに大層気に入られたみたいだしね。
It seems that Rika-sama has taken a pretty great liking to you.
赤坂は明日も来ますですか？赤坂、are you coming again tomorrow? 明日は5次元で終わりですから、3時くらいに来てくれると嬉しいのですよ。I finish after fifth period, so if you could come around 3 o'clock, that would make me happy.
Please come again. That pure smile urged me to do so. There wasn't a trace of that evil aura. Depending on what happened next, all that might end up is nothing other than my hallucination. Thinking about it logically, if the daughter of the Higurashi household, one of the 3 families, had taken a liking to me, then this was a strong foothold for my investigation from here on out. It was like a free ticket for a reason to visit Hinamizawa. If only I could treat that little incident as a figment of my imagination. Then having this girl who was the embodiment of my ideal daughter grow so attached to me wasn't bad either. I had successfully dove into the belly of the Onigachi Defense Alliance, and had the mayor as well as other important members of the alliance welcome me with open arms. This was a great turn of events. However, I still felt uneasy. Getting back to the hotel, I forced down an almost painfully cold beer until I could clear my mind. Why are you still having this background up? Shouldn't it be the hotel CG that we saw earlier with the 2 beds? The shock from that incomprehensibly strange incident continued to torment me.
Higurashi no Naku Koro ni. You have received new tips. Going smoothly. Why I like rainy days. Black tea and barley tea and black tea and a millstone. Achievement unlocked. The terrifying shrine girl met with someone's adorable daughter.
That looks like a photograph. That looks like a photograph. 写真に見えていますね。Usually the achievement pictures are drawn. 大体はアチーブメントの絵が描かれたんです。So, let's save here. This will be it for tonight. I'll rest my precious throat. And tomorrow will be Amnesia. We'll pick this up again Thursday. Shimata. Amnesia をプレイして、暇つぶしを続けてあります。木曜日の夜。So, am I dropping frames? I don't know. It's looking constant for me, but of course there's a delay. I don't know if how long ago you just put that, so I don't know. But anyway, thank you all so much for watching, everyone. As always, if you like what you see, please feel free to click like, comment, join our Discord if you haven't yet. Any feedback you can give me at all will help me tailor my future content towards your interests. I'm Regulus Pastor, and until next time, Wale!